I do humbly apologize. My phone, I accidentally, when I was trying to adjust it, my phone hit the video and then it took it on to another video. But we're going to continue our little story here with Flicker. Uh, Read by Forrest McGilvray. Do apologize for the name. But he has 403 subscribers, so without further ado, let's continue.
And the only evidence that any pony had invaded the pure heart of the isolated forest were the hoof prints left behind by 4 equine figures as they walked along. One,
According to the fans, quite interesting figures, I might add.
was a butter yellow Pegasus with a long pink mane. Another, a prim white unicorn wrapped within a sparkling purple raincoat and boots. The third, a lavender unicorn with darker purple mane and a baby dragon perched atop her back as she walked. To Fluttershy, Rarity, Twilight, and Spike, a trek into the darkness of the Everfree Forest was nothing new, even if it was their first venture into the trees for some time. Yet, for the last pony that accompanied them, the seemingly blind journey into one of Equestria's most revered forests was not so casual. "Starlight, are you all right?" came the slightly concerned voice of Twilight Sparkle as she looked back to her new student. Starlight Glimmer paused, her train of thought abruptly silenced by the sudden words of her mentor. She remained that way for a few long moments before finally opening her mouth to respond. "Yeah, I'm doing fine." A sheepish laugh followed the lilac unicorn's words, and she glanced about at the gloomy trees with equally nervous eyes. "I just never imagined learning about the magic of friendship would mean coming so deep into the Everfree Forest," she added, doing her best not to sound too disrespectful. Surrounding the muddy road, the dense wall of thick vegetation felt like it was closing in on every side. Each moss-coated tree stood like a silent sentinel amidst the ghostly mist that lingered around them. Vines hung down from the rustling canopy like grasping arms, ready to snare unsuspecting ponies. Bats, drawn out by the coming evening, sent quivers through the fog with their rapid wing beats, and the sound of many small forest creatures rang out as an invisible symphony of croaks and
Honestly, you would not catch me dead in the forest, but me and my friend Matt are actually making a small, video short. It's called Everfree. It's actually going to be really good. It's going to be basically also horror-related MLP, but basically it's going to be the evolution of the wiping out of humans. It's going to be really, really interesting. I hope you guys stay tuned for that as well. We actually just started filming. I just wanted to mention that real quick, and I hope you guys enjoyed the short. The short's going to be awesome. It's going to be chaos, much like Discord likes chaos, but that's a different story.
The whole forest felt like it was one giant hungry beast, its breath slow and paced as it systematically hunted any pony foolish enough to delve into its shadowy depths, a multitude of strange and inventive weapons at its disposal. In truth, it was a somewhat foolish way of seeing things. Most ponies from Ponyville respected the forest, but many of them had seemingly lost the absolute dread that its sinister reputation garnered throughout the rest of Equestria. "Don't worry, Starlight. It's perfectly safe. We used to come this way all the time, and I know you're just gonna love Celestia and Luna's old library," Twilight assured her student, clearly trying to hide her own excitement. "There are books that no pony's read in 1,000 years," she added, whispering directly into Starlight's ear like some kind of excited school filly. Despite everything, the idea that there was knowledge at their destination left untouched for countless centuries was a very appealing one, and from books held by the princesses no less. Forgetting her fears was slightly easier with that promise in mind. Besides, she knew that both Twilight and her friends would never lead her anywhere dangerous. "Twilight is quite right, darling. There's absolutely nothing to be afraid of in the castle," Rarity assured, looking up in an effort to stop herself from seeing the thick.
Not yet.
mud that marred her once shiny purple boots and jacket. We certainly made quite the fool of ourselves the last time we allowed our fears to get to us.
You made a
She
fool of
added
yourselves
with
at
a
the
hint of
beginning.
embarrassment. Oh, yes. How could I forget? Fluttershy squeaked in response.
But no, I'm a big fan. I like every single pony. I don't know why, but every single pony is like just my favorite pony. I don't know why. It's just, I mean, if everybody were to tell me, like, ask me what is that one pony I'd probably like, honestly, I'm gonna take a hit at Celestia, but yeah, I don't really have a certain favorite pony. Every pony is pretty much my favorite. And by the way, this is a black and mild. I'm not gonna explain this too much, but I'm telling you, this is a black and mild. So don't get the wrong idea.
Her own slightly bashful look behind her long pink mane as she smiled nervously. If by that you mean you girls were running around scaring the living daylights out of each other, then yes. Twilight laughed jokingly, sharing the giggle with her slightly ashamed friends. Hey, I wasn't running around all frightened, Spike declared bluntly, leaning back into Twilight's mane and crossing his forelimbs. Oh, sorry, Spike. So you're saying you weren't afraid of Pinky and the pipe organ? Twilight asked, a playful smile tugging at the corners of her lips. The dragon opened his mouth and raised a claw to protest, but failed to come back with anything more than a dry stutter. Then he gave a disgruntled huff as his brow furrowed. Wait, Pinky and the what? Starlight asked, the possibility dragging her thoughts away from her unsettled feelings regarding the forest. It's a long story.
Yeah, forget it.
Twilight responded with a light laugh, while Spike just crossed his forearms and slouched again. Oh, Spike, sometimes it's okay to be scared, so long as you have a good friend to show that there's nothing to be afraid of, Twilight told the sulking dragon, both Rarity and Fluttershy nodding in agreement. I'll say that to you next time you have a look at a plate of quesadillas, the dragon retorted swiftly, forcing the alicorn to wince as she snickered. Okay, point taken. She sighed in defeat, doing her best to hide the subtle dread that had come over her at the mention of the cheesy food. But seriously, Spike, do you honestly believe I'd ever let anything happen to my number one?
And it's funny, I work at Taco Bell, and our quesadillas are, like, lit.
Twilight went on, not so subtly trying to change the subject.
Not for everybody.
Of course, any pony trying to hurt my little spiky wikey will have to go through me first, Rarity stated, as she carefully trotted around a particularly large puddle. Her kind declaration got the dragon's attention, and, smitten, he shifted to face her. Me too. I certainly know how scary something can be, but I'd never let anything happen to my friends, Fluttershy added, her weak confidence reaching its peak for a moment as she looked back at Spike and smiled. Her brave confession was somewhat wasted on the dragon as his smitten eyes remained locked upon Rarity, the white unicorn resuming her graceful trot as the majority of the mud puddles disappeared behind them. I probably should have brought a notepad for all this, Starlight admitted sheepishly, as she observed just how good of a lesson she had just witnessed. Don't worry, Starlight. You can learn just as much from experience as you can from words, Twilight assured her, ducking under a mossy vine that hung low in the road. Starlight was about to offer her own answer, yet her words were forgotten as she watched the vine brush over Twilight's mane and sweep the obvious Spike right off her back. Calling out in surprise, the baby dragon fell right into the mud with a wet splat. Oh my! Fluttershy gasped, as both she and the others swiftly turned back to aid their fallen friend. Spike, are you all right? Twilight asked urgently, using her magic to help him up. I think so. That stupid vine came out of nowhere, he answered, brushing the thick mud from his purple scales. Oh dear. Here, allow me, Rarity said, magically producing a cloth from her jacket and wiping away more of the dirt. Once again, Spike was at a loss for words, more than happy for the assistance as he beamed up at Rarity. Everybody else simply rolled their eyes. We should probably make sure this hits no pony else, Twilight said as she magically levitated the vine into the canopy. Quite so. It's a positively tacky thing. Rarity huffed as she finished helping Spike and set her magic to shifting more of the hanging vines. Behind them, Starlight's eyes once again wandered off into the gloom amidst the dense trees. She was unable to shake the feeling that the whole forest was watching them. The whole place was unnaturally alive. She'd been all over Equestria in her time, looking for ancient spells and tombs, all in her now-forgotten quest for equality. Yet, as flawed as that ambition had been, it had taught her a lot about the world. She had never seen a place quite like this. The whole forest radiated with a feeling that just seemed wrong.
Twilight, could you please wait a minute?
The sound of Fluttershy's meager voice was almost lost to her companions as the yellow Pegasus called out. Even so, both Twilight and Rarity paused, a tangled mass of green vines magically levitating before Fluttershy. She then hovered up to the treetops cautiously. "What is it?" Twilight asked, yet the question was on every pony's face.
I don't think that's a vine.
Fluttershy took one of the lengths in her hooves and was clearly trying her best not to sound patronizing. As she did so, she pointed to the undergrowth at the roadside, and true to her close speculation, more of the strange vines lay amidst the wild flora. Being the closest, Starlight was the first to take a look and levitated some of the tattered green material to look at it closely. The stuff seemed to be made from a tightly woven mesh of small fibers that twisted and curled in the unicorn's telekinetic grip. Muddy water seeped out of it as if it were some kind of sponge. "She's right. This isn't a vine," Starlight observed, looking back to the others. "It's rope." At her students' observations, Twilight levitated more of the length down from the tree until it was sprawled around the muddy road like a coiled snake. After a few hard tugs, the rope slackened and pulled taut with a shudder of water droplets. "What in Equestria is all of this doing here?" Twilight asked, pulling hard on the ropes as both Rarity and Starlight began to pull on other hanging strands. Nevertheless, the ropes would not budge beyond making the whole canopy shake and rustle. It was almost as if they were pulling upon the forest itself, causing it to call out in pain as a series of loud creaks and groans echoed from amidst the leaves. But just as it sounded as if they may bring the whole tree toppling down, the rope finally snapped with a sharp click, and one half fell limply to the road as the rest sprang back into the tree like some kind of frightened animal. "Fluttershy, fly up there and move the branches out of the way, please," Twilight
I want to make one thing clear. My hearing is like so sensitive on one ear, so every sound that I hear in this is like tenfold in this ear, and so it feels like I'm actually there. Freaks me out, and that's why I like this story so much. They had the sounds that were put in. Everything is so perfect, and you did such a great job. I want to congratulate Forrest McGilvray for his 403 subscribers, and I think that's all the time we have for right now, so I'm going to try and pause this video and try to clear my phone again and then repost it. That way I still have memory on my phone. But I'll see you guys later.